Hello everyone, I am Fpl Rondo and welcome back to the channel. So in game week 7 I actually wasn't able to release a video. Now this was just due to some technical difficulties. That does seem to be resolved now, which is absolutely fantastic news, and I am looking forward to content creation again from game week 8 onwards. In this video specifically, we are going to slightly touch on my game week 7 score and then move on to my team selection for game week 8 along with the transfers that I have made. I know a lot of people are doing the wild card this week, and it does seem to be the meta, the template option to do this week. Now, I am taking a bit of a route away from that and following a -8 transfer, which I have decided on myself, and I will discuss my decisions regarding that later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's get into it. So as you can see here, game week 7 resulted in 56 points for myself and a green arrow, which was absolutely insane despite not owning Ollie Watkins, who did have that 23, I think it was, point haul. Congratulations if you had him. That was an insane week for you as well. Odegaard was the personal highlight for me, just with those 17 points and being donated a penalty from Saka. Huge result in 9 points for Saka. On top of that was an insane win. But yeah, the rest of the team did have an okay week, but those two were the sort of the carries of the team, and it was overall just a fantastic week. But let's get into that game week 8 team selection. So as I said, I have already made my transfers, and this will transition us nicely into that game week 8 team selection. I've actually sold Botman, Estepinian and Saka, who have all picked up knocks or injuries within the last week, and I've sold them for Cash, Trippier and Son. Now Son will be my captain for this week, and I think he will be an explosive player. He has been spotted in training today, which is the Thursday, which is fantastic news as well, which secures that captaincy armband even more. But they're my transfers for the week, and it does leave me with 0.4 million in the bank, and I have taken the -8 to bring these in. Now it is a bit risky, I know, just with a lot of people opting for the wild card, and the -8 isn't ideal, obviously, when you're not having a team which matches that of a wild card team. Now I do think this will sort of suit me long term, as I do think there will be opportunities to wildcard, and I think they might actually be better opportunities than this, just to play a bit more differential. There's not a lot of logic behind it, although I have looked a bit into it. I'm just going to hope that it does play out in my favor, and I do sort of just need to get over this week, because personally I do think this will be a week where I do struggle, especially against a lot of wildcard teams, and I might see a fairly decent sized red arrow this week. But going forwards, I do think I can recover from this and sort of build up those green arrows and then work on that wild card in the coming weeks whenever I do sort of see the need to do so. But yeah, that will come at a later point when I do end up wild carding. But they're my transfers for this week, and now let's get into that team selection. So my game week 8 team selection is a bit of an awkward one, as you will see throughout the video, just because there's some favourable fixtures and some not so much, but we'll get through that as we go along. Starting us off in goal, we do have Matt Turner of Nottingham Forest, who does have Crystal Palace away. Now, Crystal Palace do have Eze and Edouard both out of this game, and I just do think that that's the majority of their attack, personally. I can't see much else coming from anyone else, and with those two out, I just can't see any goals for Crystal Palace, and that's why I've opted for Matt Turner over Onana, who does have a fairly favourable fixture against Brentford also. I just don't think Man United have much for them at the minute. I don't think Onana's confidence is there, and with the injuries they've got in defence, I just can't see them keeping a clean sheet in most of their games currently. So that's why I've opted for Nottingham Forest there. I just do think that they have the favourable chance of a clean sheet there. So my defence going into game week 8 is actually what I'm the most happy about when it comes to my team, and that's just due to the fact that 2 of my free transfers of the week do slot into that back 3. Matty Cash does have Wolves away, which on paper is a fantastic fixture, and I do think there is a high chance of a clean sheet there, and potentially attacking returns as well, because we've seen that from him recently. He is a very attacking right back, and hopefully we can see that in this game. He is up against Pedro Neto on that wing, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out given Neto's run of form recently. But yeah, I do think Matty Cash is a fantastic pick for this week. Kieran Trippier, who does have West Ham away. Now, this is a bit of a tougher fixture for him. Obviously, it is Kieran Trippier, though, and he has been producing insane numbers on FPL the last few weeks, and I'm very happy to have him in my team. he very well could keep a clean sheet here. Obviously, Bowen and all them are a big risk, and James Ward-Prowse slotting into that team as well on those set pieces could be deadly. But I do think Trippier is still a great pick, and Newcastle as a whole are a great team to target with their fixtures coming up. Just get them in your teams. It will be a no-brainer. Udogie does have Luton as well. Obviously, Luton did get a win against Everton in that previous game week. I'm expecting Spurs to just run Luton through, and it should just be a clean sheet and potentially an attacking return for Udogie as well. It should be an attacking game week for all the defenders in my team. Hopefully, anyway, that is the aim here, to get as many points as possible, given my current run in FPL this season. But yeah, Udogie against Luton should be a clean sheet. Not guaranteed as well, obviously, but I am expecting some good things from my defence as a whole this week. So the midfield is a bit of an awkward one for me this week, just due to the fact that there is a mix of good and bad fixtures in there. My bench options aren't that great though, so I just had to play my best 11 and hope it gets me through this week of pain. As I said, I am expecting a red arrow, so anything more than just complete tragedy would be a huge plus for me, and a green arrow would be absolutely insane. Starting us off in the midfield though, we do have Son, who does have Luton away. Now this is a fantastic fixture on paper, and I am expecting Son to get a goal or two in this game, just with the fact that he has been playing central and is looking absolutely fantastic. His run recently of form has just been insane, and he is just looking like a huge threat for that Spurs attack, and I am just expecting him to have fantastic points and form over the coming weeks as well. Going forwards, it's all looking good for Son, so that's why I've got him in my team as the transfer for this week, alongside the defenders I mentioned earlier, and that's why he actually has the captaincy armband as well over Erling Haaland, who does have a very tough fixture against Arsenal away. Son, I just do have a feeling about, even if he just gets 70 or 80 minutes to sort of manage that knock that he's had over the last month or so. I still expect him to get a goal or two, even if it's a shortened period of time that he's on the pitch. 90 minutes would be phenomenal though, and hopefully he does get great points. Odegaard, who does have Man City at home, it is a tough fixture. It's a very tough fixture playing Manchester City at any point in the season, but I think Saka being out has actually benefited Odegaard a bit, just due to the fact that Odegaard does seem to be the second penalty taker on that team, with him being donated a few by Saka himself. That sort of leads me to believe that if they were to win a penalty in this game with Saka out, Odegaard would take that penalty, and hopefully that is the case. It would be just nice to see him get a goal or so. Even just a goal or an assist would be fantastic from Odegaard, but I am expecting a 2 or 3 pointer. But yeah, anything more would be a huge win. Rashford against Brentford is a strange one, just because Rashford hasn't been in form. He's been looking not that great. His confidence is just depleted. Hopefully we can see a better side of Rashford this game against Brentford at home. It isn't an easy fixture, but it's not a hard one either, I don't think. Brentford are looking a bit exposed, and they can concede goals at times as well. And Rashford being Rashford, we've seen what he can do in the previous season. He is an electric player with a lot of pace and a lot of clinical finishing, so hopefully he can get a bit of that back and get a goal in this game. Fantastic that would be indeed. Fingers crossed for that one. I am hoping for a masterclass from Rashford, because what's his ownership currently? Oh, 1 second, click the wrong button. He's 25% owned, which actually shocked me. I was expecting it to be under 20% now, but 25% ownership is still quite low for someone of his caliber, so any result would be fantastic and should boost my rank up quite a lot, so fingers crossed there. But I am not expecting too much from him, just I think 1 attacking return maximum from him. And Mbeumo to finish off that midfield 4, actually, because I'm running that 3-4-3 formation, which is a bit different to the 3-5-2, which I have favoured for the majority of the season. Mbeumo against Manchester United, it's the opposite side of the fixture. He's on penalties, so very well hoping for a bit of that action there, but we'll just have to see. Mbeumo hasn't been looking too good recently. I watched the last game of theirs, and he did seem to play quite out wide. He did miss a few good chances, but yeah, I mean, he's just not looking his original best, and hopefully we can get a bit of that back this game. So the forwards now, and this is where it gets even more interesting, just because arguably none of these three actually have a good fixture. First up, though, we do have João Pedro, who has Liverpool at home. Now, this is a tough fixture, but I did actually ask this on Twitter. I asked on Twitter a poll as to who to start between Pedro and Saliba, because that was the decision I was most on the fence about, and it was actually an overwhelming vote for João Pedro, and that's why he's actually in my starting 11. So thank you on Twitter. Hopefully he does come good. But yeah, no, that's why I've put him in. Hopefully he does produce at least one attacking return. I would take that, but yeah, as long as he plays at least half the game, I think there is a chance he does something, because that Liverpool defense is still a bit shaky, and I wouldn't trust him to keep a clean sheet. So that does open up the opportunities there, and he is on penalties when he is on the pitch as well, which is an added bonus. And they are at home, and it is Brighton and Hove Albion, sorry. So yeah, I mean, even though it is on paper a tough fixture against Liverpool, they are at home and they are a great side themselves with a lot of attacking output, and we know how deadly that Brighton team can be on their day. They did lose 6-1 to Aston Villa in the previous game week, but I just think that will motivate them more to actually play better this game and actually produce some points for their standings in the Premier League. So this could actually end up turning into a good game for Pedro, and hopefully that is the case. Alvarez and Haaland here against Arsenal away. Now, Alvarez was benched at the start of that Champions League game midweek. Hopefully that does mean he gets the start in this Arsenal fixture. His free kicks are looking insane right now. He seems to just be, even if they do miss, they're actually very close, and they look like they are quite convincing free kicks. So yeah, Haaland and Alvarez, it's a weird one because this could be a low-scoring game, but I'm just playing both of them because that's all I've got, and they are world-class players. One of them's a World Cup winner, and one of them's the Premier League Golden Boot winner on his debut season in the Premier League. So you can't write either of these players off, and hopefully they can get a goal. That would be fantastic. But Man City aren't that convincing currently, so it is just a weird one. Hopefully they can perform, but yeah, Alvarez is just one of those where it's just going to be a bit of a punt, especially when a lot of people are moving him on to Ollie Watkins. He's got 32% ownership still, so it is quite on the high side, but still enough for a high rank boost if he does do anything in this game. So the substitutes, as I said earlier, do sort of just pick themselves, and I have played the best 11 that I could. Saliba is first on the substitutes bench. As I mentioned, there was a poll between him and João Pedro to start in my starting 11 because they were the ones I was most on the fence about. And yeah, that's why Saliba is first on the bench, because it's the most logical option for me. Kabore against Tottenham, I just don't see them keeping a clean sheet at all, and that's why he's second on the bench. And then Gordon, who sits third at the bench, but he does have that 1 game suspension for those 5 yellow cards. But I'm glad it's actually getting out of the way now against West Ham. So when that suspension is over, I can slot him right back into my starting 11 when the fixtures do get good again. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm glad I didn't sell him. And if you do have Gordon right now, I would actually advise keeping hold of him and not worrying too much about that red flag on him right now. And as I said at the very start of the video, Onana is the goalkeeper substitution for this week, just because I'm not too convinced by Manchester United's defence, and Onana's confidence is at possibly an all-time low. So yeah, I don't really want to be playing Manchester United defenders right now. I just can't see them conceding goals. I can see them conceding goals every single game. So that concludes today's video. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. As I said, I am just hoping to get by in Game Week 8. I'm not expecting a green arrow. Just maintaining rank around there would be huge for me. Just so then I can focus on Game Week 9 forwards, where I do think the green arrows could start coming back. But a green arrow in this week would be absolutely outrageous with the team I've got. So fingers crossed that does happen, because that would be quite an interesting tale to sell next week. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Good luck in Game Week 8. And let me know if you're playing your wildcard. It would be interesting to know, because I do know a lot of players of the game this week are actually activating their first wildcard of the season. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you are using that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.